Morning, all. All right, so we have 7 games in the National Hockey League tonight. We have 5 of them starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. Then there's one an hour after that, and then there's the late start, which will be an interesting one. There are some very interesting games tonight. So starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Minnesota Wild in against the Buffalo Sabres. For Minnesota, they lost the first matchup at home, 3-2 in a shootout on December 16th. So they'll be looking to equal up that record against Buffalo, and of course keep pace in the Central. They're 32-17-3. They're coming off of a kind of sloppy win over Philly, but it's a win last night. So they're 4-6 in their last 10. They won last night. Away from home, they're now 16-12-2. They're 3 points behind St. Louis. They're 3 points ahead of Nashville. Neither of those teams are playing, so it's about making up ground on one and putting some space between yourself and the other on the other side of it. So for Buffalo, they're 17-30-8. Their last 10 games, they're 3-6-1. They did win their last game. And at home, they're 8-14-4. And again, it's if you take Buffalo lightly, then you may lose. And for Minnesota, after the scare last night against Philly, I would expect them to be sharper all the way through tonight against Buffalo. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Detroit Red Wings in against the Tampa Bay Lightning. One of the most entertaining games early in the season was the 7-6 overtime win by Tampa. There were some controversies that came out of that as well. So this is the second of 4 meetings. And we'll see whether or not any of what happened in the first game ends up influencing how this one turns out and what kind of stuff we see go on during it. But it was a very entertaining game. So for Detroit, they're 24-24-6. Their last 10 games, they're 5-5. They did win their last game. Away from home, they're 8-13-3. They're 13 points out of the playoffs behind the Washington Capitals. For Tampa Bay, coming off of a rough loss last night, they're 35-12-6. 7-2-1 in their last 10. They lost last night. At home, they're now 18-5-4. They're 1 point behind Florida, so Florida jumped past them. They can jump past Florida again with a win tonight. They are 2 points ahead of Toronto. This is the second of 4 meetings, as I said. They meet again on March 26th as well as April 19th. So Detroit can make things tough for Tampa Bay over those 3 games, including this one that they have remaining, or Tampa Bay can finish what they started with the 7-6 win and try to run through these games against Detroit. Because again, the dogfight at the top of the Atlantic, I think, goes down to the wire. So we shall see how that goes. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific start time as well between New Jersey and the Rangers. We know we're going to get a good game between these two. The first meeting was November 14th. It was a 4-3 shootout win for the New York Rangers. So this is the second of 4 meetings as well. New Jersey 19-30-5 on the season. Over their last 10, they're 4-6. They lost their last game. That was in Columbus, and that was after a big win over Vancouver. Away from home, they're 8-17-2. The New York Rangers 34-15-5. Last 10 games, they're 6-3-1. They did win their last game. At home, they're 18-5-1. They are 6 points ahead of Washington in third place in the division. The third and fourth meetings between these teams will be March 22nd and April 5th. So, yeah, it'll be a fascinating one there. Then also at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins in against Carolina Hurricanes. This could be game of the night material. So, for Pittsburgh coming off of a big win against Tampa Bay, Carolina coming off of a pretty rough loss against Washington, I could see Carolina winning this based on that. It's hard to get up for 2 games in a row against really high-quality opponents. So I could see Pittsburgh not playing necessarily as well tonight as they did against Tampa last night. I could see Carolina playing much better than they did last night against Washington. But got to play the game. February 20th, these teams met. Carolina won that one 4-3. Pittsburgh's 34-14-8 overall. Last 10 games are 7-3. They have won 3 in a row. Away from home, they're 19-6-3. They are 3 points ahead of the New York Rangers for second place in the division. The Carolina Hurricanes, 37-12-5 on the season. Last 10 games are 6-2-2. As I said, they lost their last game last night. At home, they're 19-4-2. They are 3 points ahead of Pittsburgh for first place. So we're going to see Potentially things tightening up a bit more in the Metro if Pittsburgh wins this one in regulation. That leaves them only 1 point behind Carolina. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the LA Kings in against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I'm wearing Columbus, and this, of course, is the older design of said Columbus jersey. For LA, they're 29-19-7 on the season. Last 10 games, they're 7-3. They've lost 2 in a row in regulation coming into this one. Away from home, they're 15-7-5, and they're part of this huge logjam in the West, which is fascinating. They're 1 point ahead of Edmonton and the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's really tightened up a lot in the Pacific. On the Columbus side of things, I'll get there. Columbus side of things, they're 28-25-1. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They did win their last game. They seem to be starting to get back into the win one, lose one category, and they have to not do that. They're 15-11-1 at home. They're 10 points behind Washington because of Washington's win last night. So again, if Washington loses that one and they win this one, then they're 6 points back. We'll keep an eye on that because to me, I think Columbus has the potential of jumping into that race, but they need to win a bunch of games, and LA is a quality opponent, so we'll see how that one goes. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, so an hour later, we get into the Dallas Stars in against Winnipeg Jets. These teams play each other very closely. So November 2nd, Winnipeg wins in a shootout 4-3. On February 11th, Dallas wins in overtime, also by the score of 4-3. February 23rd, Dallas wins in overtime 3-2. So just start this game 3-on-3, I guess. Dallas is 30-20-3 on the season. Over their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They've won 2 in a row. It has been very entertaining to watch Dallas finding some consistency, which has really been a problem of theirs for a while now. Even the year they go to the Stanley Cup final, there were consistency issues during that regular season. Away from home, they're 10-13-2. So as mediocre as that record is, it's gotten much better lately. They're 1 point behind that gaggle of teams. Vegas, Nashville, and Edmonton all have 64 points. And for Dallas, they have 63. On the Winnipeg side of things, they're trying to get back into the hunt. They're 24-21-9. Last 10 games, they're 5-4-1. They've won 2 in a row. At home, they're 14-10-1. They're 7 points out of the playoffs. But again, it's Vegas, Nashville, and Edmonton that they're looking to pass, as well as Anaheim, as well as Vancouver. It gets a little bit tough for Winnipeg when you look at the number of teams they have to jump over, not just the points. But all they can do is try to win this one in regulation, get themselves 2 points closer to Dallas, and hope that teams that are ahead of them as well lose their games tonight, right? So, yeah. Then 2 hours later, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, we get into the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. This has been close at points, 5-4 shootout win for Vegas on October 29th. December 1st, Anaheim wins 6-5 over Vegas. And on December 31st, Vegas gets that back with a 3-1 win. So Vegas trying to win 3 out of 4. Anaheim trying to even up the season series. For Vegas, they're 30-21-4 overall. Their last 10, they're 4-5-1 in that loss last night against Boston. It's definitely looking like Vegas is in tough to make the playoffs. They're 15-8-1 away from home. So again, it's odd, but they're better on the road than they are at home. They're tied with Edmonton. They're tied with Nashville. They're 1 point ahead of Dallas. They're 1 point behind LA. It is an absolute logjam in the West. Anaheim wants to make the logjam more jammier, I guess. 26-21-9. It's a word. Don't look it up. 26-21-9 over their last 10. They're also 4-5-1. They did win their last game. At home, they're 15-10-4. They are 3 points behind Vegas, Edmonton, and Nashville, which means they're 2 points behind the Dallas Stars, and they're 4 points behind Dallas, they're 4 points behind LA, and yeah. So the West it's a mess, basically, but it's the kind of mess that we really enjoy as fans, and here's to hoping that goes right down to the wire. I would love to see 5 or 6 teams all within a few points of each other going into the final couple weeks of the season, and them all fighting over the same, say, 2 or 3 playoff spots where a few really good teams are going to miss the playoffs. That's always been the dream, right? That only really good teams make the playoffs, and there are maybe a few really good teams that end up missing. maybe in both conferences. So we could see that this year. Let me know your winners in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.